Okay, next artist is Anna Pireva from Hochschule of Dresden, and where she graduated. She's an artist born in Bulgaria, member of International Association of Hand Paper Makers and Paper Artists, IAPMA, and currently a Meisterschülerin at the School of Fine Arts of Dresden, 2023 scholarship at the Stone Printing Workshop at Münchner Künstlerhaus and Kunstverein Röderow. Her talk will be Hands of Perception, Drawing with and on Paper. Please welcome Anna Pireva.
Hello. I hope that you're not so tired, and I'm really gonna try to keep it short. First, thank you for having me here as an artist, because I think I'm more artist than a researcher. And today the presentation which you'll see is fruit of the whole year of artistic research. And you can see the presentation or the article at the research catalog. So today I'm just gonna start speaking, and you can say it's enough. Yeah, I know that you're all tired. My project, or today I'm gonna talk about my project. It's called Hands of Perception. This is a short story about the process of drawing practice into research about materiality. The occasion of this observation is working in workshops for paper making and stone printing in different contexts and comparing the experience. Why Hands of Perception? As maybe a lot of artists has the same problem, I have really problem with giving something a name. Because creating is a circular process. It doesn't stop. Maybe it has an end product which you can give a name. But thanks this program, I had to give it a name. So this question was the whole time in the air. And I'm gonna show you some artworks in this presentation. There are end products in each state of my creative process, but I encourage you not to look at them as end products, but I want you to observe them as a physical interaction with the material. Yeah, because they are the documentary of my creative process with craft, with my hand. I'm working the whole time with my hands. First, I have to present myself, because it's part of presenting my creation process. It's about my experience. I have worked with many colleagues, but it's just my observation. As every art, it's really personal. I'm doing ink painting, drawing, lithography, paper making, and drawing and the methods of Chinese calligraphy are my approach to create images. This is where the main question isn't so much about what is painted, but how is it painted. And this is how I got to this investigation of how I paint things, what I use, why do I use the materials which I work with, how to manipulate them, and the most important question was how sustainable is my art? Because I couldn't stop drawing, I couldn't stop painting. It was part of my realization as a person, and And I had to figure out, okay, what material should I choose or keep on using, and how to use it so I can keep on doing art. And I work with water, paper, ink, stone, and this is a really fine combination because these materials, they fulfill themselves, they are sustainable. Paper you can reuse over and over again. So at some point, I have printed so many works that I didn't have any space. So I decided to make new paper out of it and to use it for the next artworks, because after some years of observation, then you don't like your artwork anymore and you have to do something with it, not throwing it away. Hands of perception. The starting point for the research process was my many years of experience in lithography, in the sense of body knowledge, tacit knowledge, and also the empirical experience and preparation in artistic decision-making ability regarding the aesthetics of artworks. This means how we make decisions about the aesthetic, in what speed we do this, in what situation we make different choices, and also the starting point of the medium which I'm working with was I was searching for the social practice in art. So that's why I started working in workshops for printmaking, for paper making, because there we had another type of discussions. I met a lot of colleagues all over the world who had so many different approaches, and it wasn't so much about the quality of an artwork, but about the material, how you approach it, what are the new things, what are the old things. This is how I started with the program. I started describing my process. So I read a lot of books, like I normally do, but at some point I had to start describing how I work. So I started reading a lot about art therapy and the methodology of the field of art therapy. There is a work of the Professor Doris Titze, she's teaching in Dresden, and it's about the spiral process of creation. And it has 5 phases. So I relate a lot to this method. And another point in the presentation is also how I work in different situations, because I wanted to go out of the academic field. I wanted to go outside of the academy, because I was working there for 8 years. So I wanted to know, okay, what's beyond these walls where you as a student can experiment everything and there is so much material for you. So it was really a good challenge to go outside and to start a conversation with other colleagues. This is the page of the research catalog. I'm gonna start maybe with the first point, with how the idea for research came about to me, and then I'm gonna talk about these 5 phases in the spiral process, and we'll see how far we'll go today. But you can check everything in the catalog. So how did the idea of research came about? As a painter, I read a lot of texts from artists. Yeah, so for me it was also a really important question. Why do I call myself an artist? What is the difference between artist and creative person? So Matisse wrote something which I connected with the research. In matters of art, the real creator is not just a gifted person, but one who has understood how to organize a whole bundle of activities towards a goal, and the result of which is work of art. My goal was, is always to be present at the moment, to research the material, to communicate with the material, to find something new for me, and always to keep surprise, to keep room for surprises. So I related a lot of the spiral nature of the creative process from the art therapy, and there is there are some books which I relate to. First, it's the theory of Leibniz, of the emerging of something. What means this new? New means the repetition of the old at some point, but you see it in a new way somehow. There was also another really interesting quote about the cultural development from the language analyst Harald Harman, who also describes this creation process as a circle, and it's a movement of memory. And the last one, but not least, according to the art therapist Titze, a similar process begins anew as the creative process reaches a new level of coherence and transformational experience. So this is a picture of the spiral process. As you see, there are 5 phases: preparation, incubation, illumination, the aha moment, which is the most mysterious moment. Maybe everybody will describe this on their own. Realization and verification. Yeah, I'm gonna compare like working process in a paper making workshop and stone printing workshop. As it was mentioned, I had these scholarships for 2 weeks, so I had this 2 weeks time in each workshop to create something, which also answered, which had this quality which I needed as an artist. And and it was the new place where I had to work. It's really good to, like handcraft is a really good way to see how some artists work, because you have this repetitive activity of preparing the material. Then it takes time, it takes also patience. Then you have this creative process where you draw or you make an artwork, and then you have to let it dry. So this methodology is really easy to understand in the workshop. So the first phase is the preparation. I start with this mental preparation to make an experiment, to go abroad over these walls. And this was, I had this demand because I wanted really to figure out what I've learned on my own, and in the Art Academy in Dresden. Is it good enough? Does it serve me good? Or which knowledge I can gain in a new way? So I was searching for expanded forms of drawing in the medium of paper making, optimizing the work material and collegial exchange, of course. I was willing to reconstruct traditional skills and to deal with failures and frustrations. This is a really important point because it comes every time. And of course I had to examine my knowledge about both techniques and compare them within the new working situation. This is the Another part of the preparation is preparing the material. Once you enter a workshop, it's a new place, you get in the interaction with the material, and as I said, it takes it's a long way. So there is a lot of body knowledge there. It doesn't matter how long you haven't done it. It doesn't matter if you work on a new place or not. As soon as you get in contact with the material, you just go with the flow. It's like riding a bicycle. You can't forget how to work with your body. And preparing the material is also a really important part of the process, because you get really this connection with it. And it feels a little bit like a conversation with something. Maybe every time you're gonna see something new while you prepare the material. And I'm gonna split the presentation in two. Like, one experience is for the stone printing and one is for the paper making, because they're also contradictive materials. Yeah, stone is super hard, paper is super soft. This is how I started preparing paper. First, I need a plan. I don't like to follow plans, but and every time it goes wrong. But I had to choose the fiber, I had to weight the fiber, and I had to choose colors. Preparing the material is something which I already learned, and I knew how to do it. So it was this stable ground. Like, you enter a new place, you meet new colleagues, and you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, but actually you don't. Here on the right up corner, you see it's another way of preparing paper. This is kozo plant. It's actually a bark of mulberry tree. This is how Japanese paper or Asian paper is being prepared. So you have to you get the plant dry. You have to cook it for 1 day. You have to beat it with the hands, so it gets the right consistency as you need it. And yeah, then you have to work with it. Oh my God. This is the preparation in the lithography workshop. So first I decided like to work in series. This is how I normally work in lithography. Printmaking is really good in order to combine motifs, to combine colors. So I decided to work in large format and small one, and I had to choose different stones. I chose a couple of numbers with the small stones and 2 really big stones, and I had to grind them. It takes 2 days, really hard work. Then drawing, sometimes it takes 1 week, because this hard work, you have so much respect from the material, and you have the feeling that, oh my God, if I do a failure, then it will go wrong. But I'm not that kind of artist. For me, the drawing, it takes like 1 hour, and then I just start printing and combine the stones with each other. And the color I choose right before the printing. Second phase is the incubation. This is the creative action. This is where you get to know the material and recognizing problems. Where is it? It's right away. Yeah. So in the paper making workshop, I had the experience of meeting something new, because I didn't know, like I learned only one technique of creating paper, like the most traditional technique in the art school. And I had to learn, in the new workshop, I had to learn how to pour paper and how to spray it. So I had two new techniques to learn. And I had this really good quote about it. What all new things have in common is that they arouse wonder and amazement, since they do not fit seamlessly into the patterns passed down and used to. Novelty arouses curiosity, at best in the sense of thirst for knowledge, to learn more about what is new, what is this new thing, what is so new about this so-called new, and what does it actually mean to speak of something new. The new thing for me was the technique and also the visual effects. So I had to get to know what is this visual effect, how can I use it. So I also, of course, I had to gain new tacit knowledge. Like, you need just different movements of the water, of the hands, to control the fiber, so it goes where you want to. And at some point, the fiber got into a problem. So I had to make a lot of tests to get the paintings or the artworks or the visuals which I wanted to. These are examples of the visual effects. On the left is what I was used to. This is a really traditional drawing with water on paper mold. So you get like really fine lines, and this is also how you get like a water signs inside the paper. This is where the pulp is thinner. So when you hold the paper against the light, you can see the drawing. On the right side are the new visual effects. In the middle is the effect of pouring pulp. So you see that you can't get like really sharp line. This was a problem at first. And on the very right, it was the spraying paper. So I had to work against one board, and the first layer which you spray is the face of your artwork. And when you spray the next layer, it's actually you're working from the back. So you don't know how the face of your artwork looks like. You just have to wait it to dry, and then is this surprising moment, wow, it looks like this. So it was really interesting to try to control this. And meaning of stone printing, the incubation period was more about aesthetic search. I work in lithography in stone printing for 8 years, so I already gained this methodology in preparing, and I knew what to do, and I knew that I wanted to work in series. So there is this another case of creativity, where is the structure of intentional cognition is seeking for analogies by comparing different constellations, by discovering similarities and not correspondences. That happens when you work in series of images. And these are the examples of a series of combining different stones. The right on the left is only one stone, and then in the very right is a combination of 2 stones, and in the middle is combination of 3 stones. So it was, for me, yeah, the normal way of creating. But there was a problem. It was warmer in the workshop than in Dresden, so the stones got really lithography is really chemical process, so the temperature and the air humidity affects the artwork and how much prints you can get. The third phase is the aha experience. This is a creatively satisfactory coherence of the elements in moment in which a solution to the artistic problem under investigation appears. In this case, the search for a balance between solid ground in the new experience and the solution to the problem that has arisen causes the aha experience. This is what she says, and this is also what I experienced. But this aha experience, I think we have this in everyday life, and for everybody it's really personal, but we all know when this moment comes. So maybe I won't talk so much about it, because sometimes it's also good to leave it as a mystery, so it can come all over and over again. But I'm going to show you the artworks which I discovered as an aha experience. These are these two works. And in the article you can read more about them. Now I'm just gonna talk shortly about them. The aha experience in the paper was the moment, was actually after a lot of frustration, because this new was too much of a challenge for me. I was working 1 week long, and I still couldn't find out how to control it, what kind of images I want to create. And I decided to go to a museum, and then I saw a painting of Yong, maybe you know this artist, and I saw really freedom in how he uses the material. And this reminded me really fast what was actually my aim being in a paper workshop. It was to connect with the material in a free way. So I just went right into the workshop and started using the paper pulp as a pen. And I didn't thought so much about the technical questions, how to control it, which color to which composition. It was just different pulps, different colors, different techniques. I just started to connect more with the visual than with the old or the new knowledge. On the other hand, at the stone printing workshop, as I mentioned, there was problem with the images on the stones. So it was a problem printing, and then I just started to print on everything. I just didn't care on which kind of paper I print. At some point it didn't matter. I just wanted to keep on printing. So it was this body knowledge. You have a press which you operate by the hand. So I got, you get really in some kind of rhythmic tact. And as I started printing on any kind of paper which I had next to me, I just printed on a pulp painting from the previous workshop, and then I saw the artwork and I was like, oh my God, this is a collaboration between these two workshops. Because it was really, for me, it was really hard to connect both workshops because of the people working there, because all these boundaries which craftsmen have, the paper makers are looking at the printmakers and they're telling to them, oh, you're the one who is making our perfect paper dirty, and the paper maker is telling oh, you don't want to produce this paper anymore. So there was really nice moment to see this collaboration within an artwork, and this was also a good way to invite both people, like both workshops, that they can work together. The realization process is where you specify and clarify the solution aspect, practicing and testing the solution idea. So here the AHA experience is transmitted more and more clearly in a visual language in which the old and the new meet. The implementation process sometimes takes months or years after the end of the AHA experience, or becomes a permanent companion in artistic activity. The realizations are work samples, notes, statements, or another work of art in which the new components become more and more clear. The realization phase is often intertwined with the verification phase. Now I'm going to show you another art piece which I thought that it was made within my realization phase. It's just an example, and take it as a time capsule of the process. This was in the paper making workshop, so there was this new techniques, and I wanted to compare the old and the new knowledge. So I wanted to stay really clear and to add as less components as possible. And this is where I thought only of drawing and of line and spaces within this four boundaries which you have in painting. Oh, yeah. So these are some details from where this three paper making techniques meet and correlate with each other. And it was also a new experience, a visual experience for me, also to see the watermarks which I could do with with the spraying technique. It was really fine line. Yeah. And the last one is the verification phase. This is where you check the new level which you gained, the search for a balance between solid ground and new experience. This is the moment where the artist steps back from the experience in order to consider his results with new eyes or a fresh mind. The process is complete and mostly lies in the immediate past. Verification can also take place in the middle of the process by the artist using the new within the framework of the practice old knowledge, and check its legitimacy. The process of verification is a two-way process where the new and the old check and adapt to each other. Usually this phase occurs no later than an exhibition where the new hangs next to the old or someone else's work. And as I mentioned already, I'm a really visual person, so my verification phase actually looked like this. This is, I just did a family constellation of all the components which I was working with. I'm not so good at words. So I was trying to figure out, okay, what actually happened? I know that my goal is to have this aha experience. And I knew that I am the creator. I have the archive, everything which I know, all the knowledge, everything which I read. And I have the lithography as a stable ground. I have the paper as a new working method for me, because I'm still experimenting with it. And I have the muse. Muse is this like small Greek vase. This is the muse. I call this thing which which inspires you. You don't know where you see it, but me as an artist, I know that it's every time there. And of course the experiment. And yeah, if you wanna read more specific about this, I had also this in my article, which character of the family constellation, which role takes, and what outcomes I had from this verification phase. Results, I don't know why I called it results, maybe because I think of research. But the biggest result of this experiment with 2-week stay at workshop and all this analysis was the realization within the drawing practice, where I found that the essence of the drawing lies in its usability. It develops an artistic action which is being redefined depending on the graphic application. The abstract properties of the line transcend the boundaries of space, creating an intercultural and cross-technological space for exchange between the pictorial elements. Both writing and drawing evolved from lines. So line is a diverse and at the same time embodies a personal feeling. And it's really, it can be combined in every kind of method where we sketch, where we draw, when we handwrite, or when we make constellations. Something else which I experienced, as I already mentioned, was the social aspect of working in workshops, is the empirical interaction with the material. It reminds of this dialogue, which is really personal between the creator and the material. So it creates a really intimate atmosphere where a lot of things can happen, a lot of new things can happen. This is also the exchange with colleagues from all over the world based on the passion for the same material, and an artwork combining different medias can also become a reason for exchange. Regarding tacit knowledge, I found out that this is the anchor which you can hold on when you start working in a new place. And it also, it can, yeah, it's captured in the body routine, so you can't unlearn it. And there were, of course, some further questions which I'm about to investigate now for myself in terms of combinatorics and the creativity regarding to artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence works with this combination. So it's a really new question for me, but yeah, we'll see when it goes. And also the cultural appropriation in the handcraft, how further you can discover it, or how far should I travel to learn a handcraft, and how to bring this knowledge back home. Am I allowed to use it, to teach other people? Is it something secret or not? And I'll get to this, to the very beginning. So why the question, why this name, why I call this hand of perception? As a work of brain and hand activity, technology is so fundamentally related to man himself that in the creation of his hand, there is something of his own being, his world of ideas embodied in the material, a mirror and after image of his inner being. In short, a part of himself placed in front of his eyes. Ernst Kapp. This is why, because of the sentence, I named what I do. Because my creating process is a result of physical interaction with a certain material, because I like to work with material. The awareness of how this interaction develops can be read within aesthetical values of that object. When me, as the creator, reads the object is the artwork. So, yeah, maybe there are some other people who relate to this, but yeah, it's after this long day of composting and I don't know, I find this materiality and not materiality really question maybe which was in the air for the whole time, but now it's really urgent. And it was really hard for me not to keep on doing art without having bad thoughts or feeling guilty. But I don't think that I am able to stop creating without having a material. And this practice is with the material, this abstract interaction. I think it's a way to find out how the work can be sustainable, and you can reuse your artworks over and over again. You can, paper is a really transformative material. Stone printing is really old, interesting technique. Yeah, practice in workshops is a really interesting practice. I talk about it because in a lot of art institutions they started closing workshops, but this is actually where artists, material and colleagues meet and work together in one field of the art studies. And this is also where you can exchange with all over the world. You can take your press and go so far away and start working with people. And I'm really impressed by this fact, and I'm happy that I found this for myself. So I really encourage you to just try to work in some handcraft and look how it maybe influence your creative process. The right one. Thank you. Yeah, you can contact me, and I'm happy to work with people all over the place, and it doesn't matter from which field. Yeah, so don't hesitate to give me feedback or ask questions.
I have a little question about ethnographic or something you wrote at the very beginning. So I just have this little question. Can you explain?
About this aspect? Yeah. Auto-ethno... Yeah, I didn't kept on talking about it. Autoethnographic. Yeah. I discovered for myself that when I work with material in a traditional way, autoethnographic, it has to do with working in different places and what changes and what stays. This is just the name of this phenomenon. But I find this word really interesting because it has ethno within And I'm a real folklore person because of my where I come from, and I found out that working in a traditional way with material, learning the old techniques, is something which reminds me of folklore, and yeah, it's still something which I have to figure out for myself. Maybe I will never find a solution or an answer, but it's just good, yeah.
I have a question. First of all, it's very interesting that this materiality matter came out, because we have discussed about it a lot, because there was this hype for the ephemeral, and now it probably is back, the feeling to go back to the materiality. My question is, when you talk about verification, you say that the success you feel to have with the material is when you attune to the material. So when you talk about verification, are you talking about this attunement with the material, or it's like when it is also translated with the very banal question, when you consider your work finished? It seems you are very much into the process itself, even if you're and far away from representation or any other issue that relates to the finished work. It's
so your question is if when a work is finished, or where is this?
Yes, and it relates to this phase of verification, because like it's something that I imagine it has to do with the process, because everything you said, it was about the process and the physical experience of working with the materials.
I guess for me, right now, the verification was where I place all the components to each other. Because I can't see an artwork as a verification or a final product. It keeps on going, and it's the whole time in this realization phase, or aha, and is this spiral which doesn't stop. The verification was actually for me the artistic research, because I really had to stop and start describing, because I know all this, but how to transmit it to other people, or yeah. So this was the artistic research, thinking about this practice as an artistic research was this.
Just one, it's kind of question, but it's not only for you, but also for the others that have shared their work, no? So there's always, and also for us for next years when you come back, and hopefully we have other artistic research days in the future years. So when we are talking about presenting, we are always talking about conceptualization. You always use words. But for instance, in your work, the physicality is so strong that why you don't have shared with us a presentation of your work, just placing some work here, just for an example. Why there wasn't a basin here with hands and your hands were in the water with us? This was could have been a presentation with no words. No, so why when we will all of us think about a presentation, we think about, all right, now I explain you what I'm doing. And I use words, and I use a linear thing. So this, I think, doesn't necessarily helps the research, no? Because it's in a way it makes it, it's just it's something, because you all work with time-related thing, no? Taemen works with plants, no? So a plant could speak for you in a certain way, no? You could have brought with you 100 seeds, or the seeds that didn't succeed to be plants. So, just for all of you, no, to imagine also new means of presenting and sharing the work, which is also were one of the the themes of today. That's all. So maybe next time when we present, we use less words. We use all of us, me including myself. So that's it.
Yeah. 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 I know what this was also. This is the my first interaction with artistic research or with the word research at all, and I have to mention that nobody wanted to be my mentor from the Art Academy in Dresden. Yeah, so philosophers, artists, painters, they were. Artistic research is everything and nothing at the same time. And I know that my works, for me, I see everything. I see my practice. So it was also a really big and I also made a lot of videos how I work. And I thought that this would be way more efficient to show this. But if you, but then I thought like, okay, if we get to publication or something, words make it, as soon as you name something, it starts existing, or you start actually realizing. And as soon as you make one sentence, like within one trying to describe with words something which you do, felt also doing like an artwork.
Very important what you did, because we are striving to define artistic research, and there is a need for that. And certainly there is also this knowledge by hand, which is very often not spoken. So I understood your attempt, which was very important to me, to create a grid of terminology, self-reflection of what you're doing, how it is done, referring to other. Well, I'm not against theory, and we should always put together practice and theory. But I did appreciate what you presented, and next time perhaps we can do also. So it was very evocative and very beautiful, very astonishing, the image with the red ink, with the hands with gloves, black gloves, if I understood, inside. It was a very moving image that you feel you are an alchemist. You are confronting material, confronting liquid, which has a strong meaning. So, I mean, everything should be done, but also the theoretical approach, because we still have the problem of defining what is research in art. So I think was okay. That there are questions and suggestions and.
I just wanted to know if you have worked three-dimensionally, like making paper in like patterns or structures in 3 dimensions.
Yeah, like as I mentioned, paper is a new. It's not a new material, but paper making is something new for me, because I started practicing it only 2 years ago. So I started. I found this association of hand paper makers all over the world, and there are online courses. And there was one online course which I attempted. This was about soft sculptures. It was about sculpturing with paper, and it was really interesting. This was the first thing, the first time where I experienced an exchange like this, because it was like a 1 month course. Once in a week, we were 5 women in Zoom. The teacher was in Argentina. I was the only person from Europe, and there were people from America, from New Zealand. So there were so many different time zones. There were earthquakes in the place of the one participant, and we all had homeworks to make sculptures out of paper, only with plants. Like, for example, they used palm. Florence in palm is the flower of a palm tree, which I was the only one who didn't have this in the country. So I was like, okay, what should I use to make this exercise? And the teacher was like, yeah, you can use willow. And in Germany, I can't just go to the river, start cutting the willow, and it was winter, so there were no juices in the plants. So it was dry. I couldn't make the structure for a sculpture. So I went to a market, Bauhaus, Baumarkt, and bought a willow, which they had like on ring, and started working with this. And it was really strange sculpture because it didn't have to do with anything from the other participants' artworks, but it was still a sculpture because paper is really, you can do a lot with paper. You can also use it as a clay. It's transparent, it has a sound, it has opacity and everything. And this was my only sculpture experience with paper, but now I'm about to learn from more people everything about it, we hope. You can't study art forever.
Okay, I think we had a very stimulating afternoon. And in my understanding, we have a lot of intersections, contaminations, cross-fertilization of artistic languages. Thus, I think it could be defined as a general observation on what has been presented. Technologies, sensors, microcontrollers to process and visualize data, biochemistry to analyze colors and material, not only for paintings and studying materials to, diciamo, in the process of creation, but also for restoration and sustainability. So the ecological aspects, which is so important. But again, here we see intersection between the artistic language and other languages. Recycling, as I said, sustainable material, archives as an endpoint of materials, and also ecological niches, food and plant migration, as well as human migration. So a lot of topics that are connected to political, economical problems. And then the final self-reflection on the creative activity through material. So the reflection on material and how an artist creates, and Anna did a very good job in analyzing the different steps. So I think we have a lot of inputs, and I thank you everybody, and was a very astonishing and rich of novelties afternoon. So thanks, and hope to see you again.